Welcome back. It's time for another book talk video. It's Friday, but I want to do something different for this Fiction Friday. I saw a challenge recently. This challenge was on Klaus's channel, The Contradictorian. He'd seen someone else do it. It's not a tag, it's a challenge. So I'm not tagging you, but I'll give you an open challenge to also do this kind of video. It's the 10 best books that you've ever read according to Goodreads. Or I guess I should say it as the 10 best books that I ever read according to Goodreads. So what you do is you go to your Goodreads profile, and in the sorting area you click on average rating and have it show you your top rated books by the average rating on Goodreads, and you may be shocked by what you find. I'm going to do it like a top 10 list, starting down at the number 10 and work my way up to the number 1 top rated book. Of all the books I've read, based on their average rating on Goodreads, coming in at number 10, I've got Brandon Sanderson's The Way of Kings, which is the first book in the Stormlight Archive. It has an overall rating on Goodreads of 4.61 right now, which means my lowest place in the top 10 is 4.61. I think that's pretty good. Coming in at number 9 on my list with a 4.62 average rating on Goodreads is Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. That was the 7th book in the Harry Potter series, or as I sometimes accidentally say, the 8th book. I think my brain gets confused because there were 8 movies, and I just think the last book in the series is probably number 8, but it's number 7 in the Harry Potter series. But number 9 on my top 10 here. Number 8 in my top 10 is a poetry collection by Taylor Mali called Conviction. It's also a 4.62 rating, so really kind of a tie with Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. And then another 4.62 rating, it's Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson, the 4th book in the Stormlight Archive, the most recent one, which my goodness was a huge book. And the ending, I won't tell you what happened, but it set up something huge for book 5 in the series. Should be exciting to get to it. By the way, those numbers in the series are for the main books. There are still those little side novellas that count as like 2.5 and 3.5. So don't get confused on that. Alright, so that was numbers 10, 9, and 10, 9, 8, and 7. Up next, number 6 in my top 10 with an overall average rating on Goodreads of 4.56 is Margaret Penard's book 3 of the Remnant series, Stormwrath and Spindrift. That's right, Margaret Penard has beat out some Brandon Sanderson books and the Harry Potter series. Great job, Margaret Penard. That book is the one that I always talk about as having characters that suffer, but it's still a great read. You just have to be ready to deal with the fact these characters are going to suffer a lot. And by the way, that makes for good literature a lot of the time, characters suffering. So now we're up to book 5 in my top 10 highest rated on average Goodreads ratings. And you may be surprised by this one. It's The Essential Calvin and Hobbes, The Calvin and Hobbes Treasury by Bill Watterson. I love Calvin and Hobbes books. It's a great comic strip, and this one has a lot of really funny moments from Calvin and Hobbes. Now coming in at number 4 in my top 10. Oh, by the way, the Calvin and Hobbes book was a 4.63 average rating. If I forgot the Margaret Penard rating, it was 4.56. Now coming in at number 4, from Brandon Sanderson with the average rating of 4.73 is Words of Radiance. It's book 2 in the Stormlight Archive. So, my goodness, you'll see the Stormlight Archive has made it on the list 3 times, but that's going to be it. That's the highest rated of the series, Stormlight Archive. Words of Radiance was a good book. One of the reasons that I enjoyed it was because I spent book 1 just trying to figure out who the characters and what in the world was going on. By the time I got to book 2, I was like, alright, I know who these people are now. So it made the story, to me, more enjoyable. Up next, we've got our top 3 highest average rating from Goodreads. Number 3 on my list is The Bewilderness by Ben Reeves. It's got a Goodreads rating of 4.75 right now. That is such a high rating. Number 2 on my list is a teacher memoir, believe it or not, with a average rating of 4.86. The Final 180, a memoir by Dennis Donahue. The title, The Final 180, comes from the fact that teachers sign an annual contract that is 180 to 187 days. I guess the state that Dennis Donahue worked in, it was 180 days. My teacher contract is 187 days. So if I wrote a book like this, it would be The Final 187. Final 187. And that leaves my number one spot for the highest rated average rating on Goodreads from all the books I've ever read. And you should know, on Goodreads, I have marked down that I have read over 1,000 books. Number one, at an average rating of 5.0, that's a perfect rating, is book 2 in the Bewilderness series by Ben Reeves. I love the Bewilderness series. I have tried to tell you, my audience, so many times, you need to read these books. Ben Reeves is an amazing fantasy author. He calls them weird tales. The main character lives in what is an anchored reality of the real world, but also travels to the Bewilderness, which is like the plane of fairies or the Feywild, that kind of weird dimension. He's going on some weird journeys and dealing with a lot of psychological pressure. Fascinating character, a lot of fun. So I want to say congratulations to Ben Reeves for having such a highly rated book. I suggest that you read it, check it out, and offer even more reviews for the book. My goodness, this was fun. It was neat to go onto Goodreads, click the average rating, make it show up to where I had the highest rating on the top instead of the lowest rating, and deal with that. I also see that I have marked a book to read that I have not read yet that also has an average rating of 5.0, and that is Dane Cobain's book, The Tower Hill Terror. So I haven't read it yet, but Dane Cobain you may know from YouTube with Dane Reads, and it looks like that is very highly rated. So there you have it, folks. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I challenge you, not a tag, I'm not tagging you, but I challenge you, it's just a different word I guess, to also do this kind of video if you use Goodreads or another service like Storygraph, and you can see your average ratings for books. If you're not tracking your reading though, it's impossible to do something like this, so get on it. Every day is a good day for book talk. Peace.